Welcome to In Conversation with MANWAR KHAN podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Do Not Be a Bystander campaign. You can join us in raising awareness about bullying by visiting the donotbeabystander.com, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay informed about upcoming episodes. Today's participants are Nyla and Arifa. Our special guest for today's episode is Gary Simpson.
I'm your host, MANWAR KHAN. Today, I'm joined by two young individuals who are ready to share their thoughts and insights on the topic of act of kindness. That's our topic today, and our participants are Nyla and Arifa. Thank you, Nyla and Arifa, for joining us to this show today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And before I continue, I'd like to introduce our special guest for today's podcast, Gary. Gary will shed some light on this topic, listen to our participants' responses, and give advice and tips. Thank you, Gary, for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining this podcast. I really appreciate that. So I'd like to jump into the question right now. My first question is for Arifa, is how would you define act of kindness? And can you share a recent act of kindness that you have witnessed or experienced?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Kindness is an important thing in life. Kindness shows others that you care about them and takes away some of the pain and suffering that they may be feeling. It also can help heal others, and everyone should try to think about their actions may harm others and try to make them happy. And yes, I have witnessed an act of kindness by giving the poor food who doesn't have the money to buy food. Thank you.
All right. So, are you really always kind to your sister?
Yeah,
Always or sometime?
sometimes.
All right. I know you're always kind. All right. So, act of kindness holds significant importance in our lives and society as a whole. My question for Nyla is, why do you think act of kindness are important?
Thank you for the question. Acts of kindness are important for several reasons. For example, kindness promotes a sense of connection and empathy among the individuals. When we are kind to others, we recognize their humanity and acknowledge their value. It helps us build and maintain healthy relationships with others, fostering a sense of community and understanding. Thank you. That would be it.
Right. Excellent. Thank you. So, what are some creative and unique ways to show kindness to others? Basically, I'm looking for some examples. Now,
Thank you. There are numerous creative and unique ways to show kindness to others. For example, a random act of kindness. Performing unexpected acts of kindness for strangers, such as paying for someone's coffee or a meal, leaving a positive note in a public space, or giving compliments to people we encounter during the day. Not only that, offering skills and serving service to help those in need, whether it's tutoring, organizing an event, or assisting a local shelter or hospital, all can be considered a way to show kindness to others. Thank you.
yeah, all right. Yeah, no, those are great answers. Excellent. Thank you. Anything else do you guys want to, Arifa and Ayla, want to add before we get Gary's comments here?
No, not really.
All
No.
right. So then now I would welcome Gary for your insights on this topic, Gary.
Thank you very much. The definition was very well said. I like that emphasis on caring for people, showing that you care, and the importance, the connection, the empathy, recognizing a person's values. value, I should say. And I think that's maybe the most important element of it. We've recognized someone's value, which says you're important to me, you're important to society, and you can treat yourself and respect yourself as though you're important. And where that comes in from an anti-bullying perspective is I think it helps recharge our emotional batteries. It gives us the ability to continue on, even though we may at times run across things that dehumanize us, make us feel less worthy and less valuable. I really like the examples. You gave some of the examples. I was busily scurrying around, writing them down and trying to get everything in line. So I had some examples in case people were needing examples. But yeah, the paying coffee, is it ahead or back or however that's done? I like that idea. Paying for someone's lunch, a card, which can be unsigned, I think is really neat. Something I used to do at work, because our administrative assistants, our secretaries often didn't get very much thanks. So after we went through a busy period of the year, I would go downtown and I would order in, if they didn't have them, about 6 or 7 blue roses. And they are really beautiful. They had dyed them to make them blue. And then I would bring those in and give them to the ladies. And of course, this was completely on their part. From their part, it was completely spontaneous. From my part, it wasn't. It was planned. But that certainly can help. Or a text message, been thinking of you. I care about you. A phone call, an email, things of that nature can be so fast and easy for us to do and very, very low cost. And those things can make a person's day. And I used to, in a tiny church I attended, I used to have little 3x5 cards they would take with me. And I would draw a little cartoon on them and say, I'm so glad to see you. Something of that nature. And I would just hand them out to everybody that was new that didn't regularly attend, and sometimes to the regulars. And it was interesting. People back to visit church again, and they were saying things like, about 8 or 9 years ago, I was here, and you gave me one of those cards, and it's in my Bible. They had been carrying it with them for that period of time and referring to it. And I sent one of our members of the legislature a few years ago, I sent a card that was signed by quite a few people because the MLA had done something that I thought was really incredible and given a tremendously powerful speech on a topic that was important. And I got an email back from the MLA indicating that the card had been in her purse and she'd been looking at it frequently. There's so few times when I actually stop and thank people. And if I'm in a coffee shop, something I like to do is, so I'm often there toward the time they close. So a lot of the coffee shops close at 6 o'clock at night. So I'm probably leaving to come home and eat about that time. And I will often say good night to the people because I want them to feel like I recognize the importance of what they're doing. And if you're buying something in a store, many people treat the tellers in stores, as though they're expendable. I don't care about you. I don't want to talk to you unless I have to. I like to be kind to them and just interact with them, visit with them for a minute or so as they're ringing stuff up, and thank them at the end. Those things, they seem like small common courtesies, but they really aren't that common. And they can leave a person feeling energized, like they can go ahead and take on the world. And I don't know what happened. I'm going to mention this because we were talking about cyberbullying in previous programs. I remember dropping into someone's live and they had been just early in the live, you could see the life and energy in their eye. Something happened. I don't know what. I dropped back about an hour later and it looked like the person had just been emotionally devastated. The energy was gone. The person looked very discouraged. And I knew something had happened, but I didn't know what. That impact that we have is we can turn that the other way too by being kind to people. A person who is feeling kind of beaten down, if they see our smile and hear a kind voice and know we care, it can make a difference and give them an encouragement to continue on even when things feel wrong.
Yeah, great examples. Thank you, Gary. Great insights. I really appreciate that. Do you guys have any questions for Gary? No questions? Right. So We've come to the end of this podcast. Thank you so much, Gary, for joining us, and thanks to our participants, Naila and Arifa. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind our listeners that there are several resources available to help individuals dealing with bullying. The government of Alberta has a bullying helpline which provides support and advice to those experiencing bullying, and the helpline can be reached at 1-888-456-2323. Bullying is a violation of human rights. Under no circumstances is bullying acceptable. As a community, we have shared responsibility to take a stand against bullying and refuse to be a bystander. Thank you so much for joining in conversation with Manwar Khan, and see you next week. Bye.